Hey everyone, this is Russell with Common Motor, and today we're taking a look at my 72 CB350 K4. I bought this bike about a year ago from a guy. I traded a CT90 and a little bit of cash for it, and it was in pretty good shape when I bought it. It was running, it was riding. And it was almost all stock, so I didn't have to do too much to it. So most of the stuff I've done is just basic maintenance and keeping up with it. A couple of the things that weren't working on it originally were the tachometer and the speedometer. The needles would kind of bounce around every which way. I think one of the first things I did with it was I polished the side covers, because it was yeah, it was, well, this was like the first bike I had bought that like didn't have immediate problems with it. Like, it was running and riding when I got it. So I was like, well, I want to do something on it. And so I just polished the side covers to give me something to do. Nice. Yeah. All right, so as far as things I've replaced on the bike, starting from the front, we've got a new front tire, we got new front brake pads, new fork seals. I did a H4 headlight conversion. We've got new gauges up front so I can actually tell how fast I'm going now. New levers, kind of new handlebars. They're from a stock CB, so they're new old stock. We've got one new grip up here. I repainted the emblems on the side here and here. We've got new electrical stuff, new condenser, ignition coils, spark plugs, and these sweet new valve covers. We've got a jetting kit in the carbs. I played around with the jetting there a little bit. We've got a new shift lever, got a new rear brake lever back here because I dropped it. Did a petcock rebuild kit on it. We've got new shocks on it because originally I had shorty shocks that made it a little bit tinier. And then here I did a new bracket for one of the turn signals because my old one just kind of snapped. And then we got a new housing for the taillight here, new brake pads in the rear, and a new tire in the rear. On top of that, I've got some new mufflers coming in, so I plan on replacing these soon, because this one I blew the baffle out of it on the highway, so. So one of the things I changed on this bike was the handlebars, and I've gone through a few different handlebars now. When I first got it, I had some kind of mini ape hangers on there, so they're a little bit taller, more relaxed position. And then I went to some much lower handlebars down here, and didn't really like the riding position for that. I felt too far hunched over. And so I ended up just settling on the stock handlebars here for a CB. And these, I think, are a really comfortable ergonomic position, and they just make riding fun, and handling is nice with them. So I do like custom bikes a lot, and I've done a few custom bikes in the past, but this one is mainly stock. And one of the things I'm replacing is the mufflers here, just because I blew the baffle out of this one. And I'm going with a stock style muffler. And the reason I'm doing that rather than some kind of flashier muffler is just because as I've worked on this bike more, I've found that I really appreciate all the stock stuff on it. And it's just made me want to keep it stock and keep it running and riding, as opposed to changing it up a lot. So I know this isn't on the bike currently, but it was set up previously for touring. I had a couple of saddlebags on here. I had a big sissy bar coming up right here that I strapped my backpack to. And so I did take this bike on a road trip. I went 2,100 miles through Oklahoma, Colorado, and New Mexico. And this bike made it the whole way with only one breakdown when my condenser failed. But I set it up for luggage for touring, and I had hard saddlebags on the side that were fantastic. They leaked a little bit when it rained, but luckily it didn't rain that much, so they worked out great. And then my sissy bar luggage, where my bag was just strapped to the sissy bar, ended up working out fantastic as well. I was able to kind of just lean back against my bag, so I kind of had a backrest while I was driving. So a couple of odd things I've found with this bike that I've had to fix. They actually took place like hours before I took off on my road trip. So I was working on the bike, I was working on putting my new tires on, which was a little bit of a struggle because my old tires were very old. They were, I don't know, at least from the Jurassic period. And so I ended up having to cut them off instead of pry them off, because I started bending my rims instead of bending the rubber to get them off. And so I ended up cutting my tires off, putting new ones on. This is the night before my road trip. And I get everything back together, get the chain on, and I figure I'll take it for a test ride. And so I take it around the neighborhood, and two things went wrong. I left my toolbox on the bike open, and I left the little clip for the chain just sitting on there as opposed to snapped on. And so I lost my little chain clip, and I lost most of my original toolkit out of the side of the bike. So I looked like a crazy person wandering around the neighborhood at 3 a.m. looking for tools on the road. So that was probably one of the weirdest struggles I've had with it. So in the future with this bike, some of the main things I want to do, obviously I'm replacing the mufflers. I'd like to repaint it as well. The stock paint's already gone on it, and I've done some auto painting in the past, and so I kind of want to give it a fresh paint job, give it a new color, maybe do some pinstriping on it, we'll see. And other than that, you know, I just want to keep it running and riding, keep maintaining it, and you know, keep riding it. As far as future trips go with this bike, I'd like to take it east a little bit. I've done a lot of road trips on cars and with this bike out to the west, kind of California, Arizona, Colorado area. And so I'd like to, you know, take off east, see where I end up.
You ever name it?
Lucille.
That name's already taken.
No.
Yeah.
Wait, whose is it?
Jesse named her bike.
Jesse? The name of the bike is Lucille. Now I know there's another Common Motor bike with the name of Lucille, but I just want everyone to know, for the record, I named mine first. This has been Russell with Common Motor. Be sure to like us on Facebook and Instagram, subscribe to our newsletter at common-motor.com, and subscribe to this YouTube channel right down below.